Hey all, Peyton Marine here with another In the Crosshairs looking at the preview for the supplement White Scars. So I'm going to be pretty quick through this article. I don't play White Scars. I definitely played against them. I'm trying to remember, it was two editions ago that they were, at least it seemed like then, right when the grab weapons were kind of the new thing on the block. Giving them grab guns on bikes was just disgusting, and I mean disgusting in a good way. Like, it was so powerful, and just, I mean, they're up in your face, they were taking away armor, and they were just crushing everybody up. Yeah, it was really good then. So I definitely played quite a few White Scars lists, but I've never actually played them myself. And unfortunately, I don't know a ton about the lore, but I'll try to stagger my way through this as best I can, and like I said, keep it short since I don't just want to blow up hot smoke since I don't know a ton on them as far as their lore and stuff. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong. From what I can see here, the title or the name Khan seems to be kind of given to the White Scars as, I guess, kind of like a title. I don't know if it's like the equivalent of a captain or something like. I think they still have captains, but then I think a Khan is still like a more elevated position because they seem to always have a character with first name and then last name gets this like Khan title to it. And I think they kind of talk about like the new Primaris character is the new Master of the Hunt, and so I don't know if everyone that becomes a Master of the Hunt gets that title as well. So. Yeah, we'll jump into it. And this is, I mean, it's definitely a cool chapter. It's one I should probably look more into and get more into the lore. Just like I said, because I haven't, I should know more. But they've definitely got some interesting kind of stuff going on for being a Codex compliant chapter. But like everything, they have their own kind of flavor going on here. So your quarry awaits, proud signs of, and then here we go. I'm going to butcher this. Korgros. Ride the plain, bear the fury of the storm, give chase to your foes, and put them to rout. Today we'll take a look at the White Scars supplement. So as I'm making this video, I'm actually making this a little bit late of the article, so this is actually up for pre-order now, along with that new Primaris character that they have. So yeah, check this out. So this is a cool picture here. I know somewhere I had seen somebody had posted, and I don't know if they were on their phone, they had just poor resolution, and they had actually highlighted this librarian here, and they're like, oh, is this a new librarian? And no, you can kind of tell pretty clearly. The only thing here is this is the Primaris librarian that was first released when Primaris came out. The only difference is it has the actual White Scar shoulder pad and then the helmeted option that you get in that kit. Oh, another thing I want to point out, someone also was curious if this was a new or longer version of the Storm Raven, but I think it's just a perspective thing, and with the fog, because you can clearly see like the same outline here, and this is kind of where it goes up in the back. So still just a Storm Raven, nothing different. There's no secret Primaris flyer. Plus there's a few channels and people that get the codexes in early because they have enough subscribers to get stuff early from Games Workshop. And there is no mention of any Primaris flyers. Not to say that we won't get them soon, because we've seen in the past, Codex will come out, and then a couple months later, they're releasing new models with the rules included in them. So, like I said, it doesn't mean that we won't get a Primaris flyer yet, or, hopefully some grav bikes of some kind that people have been asking if we're going to go Primaris bikes, which is something I think a lot of people are kind of hoping we would see soon, especially with this White Scar supplement. It'll be kind of interesting if we don't. But there's also been the tease now of the new White Dwarf coming that says coming next. So this month of August, the White Dwarf that's coming out has a preview page in there that says coming next is Primaris Dark Angels. So we may see some kind of a preview or not really a preview, but some kind of a showcase in the next White Dwarf. But then that could also mean that next month we might start seeing some news on the new Dark Angels Codex or Codex supplement, however they're working that. And with that, maybe they're saving a new Grav Primaris bike released with them for the Ravenwing. I don't know, but if they don't, we'll see kind of like two missed opportunities to introduce a new bike option for Primaris that would suit the Ravenwing and the White Scars quite well. Again, not to say that we won't see it yet this year. I do think if not this year, we will see it eventually. Just with everything kind of getting phased out and everything, it's just kind of how it is. So, but with a lot of these changes, I definitely think people that play White Scars are going to be pretty happy with a lot of the combat doctrines and just everything else, and getting their bikes out so they can move them up the field and get in combat pretty good. Because there's definitely some bonuses with the assault combat doctrine and getting into contact, and then with the Space Marines getting that shock assault now. So on the charge and when they get charged, and if model heroically intervenes, they're all getting a +1 to their attack. So just all around, lots of stuff going on good that would work well for a heavy bike list for White Scars. Alright, so this is a definitive guide to the White Scars chapter, packed with their history, culture, and strategic organization, along with the bloody accounts of their glorious hunt across the stars. It features data sheets for units unique to the White Scars, a Khan on a bike, and the master of the hunt, Korosaro Khan, and chapter-specific rules with White Scars and their successor chapters. So first up, they have a new rule called Devastating Charge. The Devastating Charge, whilst the Assault Doctrine is active, so the soonest you'd be able to use this Devastating Charge is turn 3, because you have to go through the tiers of Devastator, Tactical, and Assault. So while the Assault Doctrine is active, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model with this ability in a unit that has been made a charge move or performed a heroic intervention this turn, add 1 to the damage character to that weapon for that attack. So that's pretty huge too. So not only are you getting an additional -AP with the Assault Doctrine, now if you charge or made heroic intervention, you're also getting to add damage to your weapons, your melee weapons. So that's pretty awesome right there. So now you're doing minimum 2 damage on most of your weapons, and with a -1 AP minimum again. That's pretty good. There are 6 Warlord traits distinct to the White Scars that allow you to personalize their leader, and you have Trophy Taker. So when this Warlord destroys an enemy character model, add 1 to their attack characteristic until the end of the battle. So this one is kind of trying to encourage you to get your Warlord into combat, so that way you can continually be stacking up more and more attack characteristics to your Warlord. So normally when you're trying to keep your Warlord out of situations like that to kind of keep them safe, this is an instance where you are encouraged to get them into close combat. So you definitely want to build your Warlord appropriately so it can handle himself in combat, first being able to get into combat and then do some good damage so he can keep adding attacks to his characteristic. Next we have a brand new psychic discipline for the White Scars, the Storm Speaking Discipline. White Scar Librarians are known as Storm Seers and are able to control the very elements themselves using Lightning Call. So for Lightning Call has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, the closest enemy unit within 18 of the Psyker suffers D3 mortal wounds. If that unit is not destroyed, roll a D6. On a 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Then you continue. If they're still not destroyed, on a 5+, and then again on a 6+, and then that's where basically it fizzles out. So I'm trying to remember, there was a rule or a unit that could do this before. I want to say it was those, what were they called? They're like the Shock Tech Priest things and the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Electro Priest, I believe it was. They had kind of something similar, I think, kind of like chain attack where you could continue rolling, and it's basically like the lightning jumping from person to person, taking them out. So that's pretty cool. It's a pretty neat little rule. It's kind of like Smite, but instead of rolling 10 or higher and getting the D6 mortal wounds, you just have to roll, get it off. You get your D3, and then you have a chance to basically chain it to kill the rest of the unit potentially. All right, next we're going to talk about I think these are the relics and such. The White Scars are filled with beautifully crafted weapons and equipment. This is represented by a series of unique chapter relics, which can only be taken by White Scars, and the special issue war gear, which can also be taken by successor chapters. This makes it easier to harness the power of the elements. So real quick, I want to point out this wording here had me kind of thinking. It says the chapter relics, which can only be taken by the White Scars. and a special issue war gear, which can also be taken by the successor chapter. So, I'd have to. I don't remember if it was always like this. I feel like if you were a successor, you could take any of the chapter relics. But now it seems chapter relics are actually specifically to only the white scars. So I don't know if this is new or not, but it seems like the specific codex, so Ultramarines will have their own chapter relics, but none of their successors can take it, and so on with the rest. So there's kind of it seems like a locked set of relics, which I guess from a thematic and lore-wise kind of makes sense, because they're these relics that have been known to be and are part of the White Scars chapter, and so their successor chapters are going to have their own probably relics, but because there's no rules right now on making necessarily chapter relics for your successor chapters, so they give you special issue war gear, which are special issue weapons that can be, I guess, replicated when a relic really can't. If that is how that's wording, then I'm not sure necessarily how that will work when successors go to pick relics. I don't know if that means there'll be a generic relics list that they can take, because of course you have to spend command points if you want to take more than one relic and stuff like that. So I'd be curious to know if I am understanding this correct, or if not, if there is in fact you can take those chapter relics, or if it's specific to that chapter and then there's like a generic relic list. But that's the way it kind of reads to me, so I'm curious to find out more on that. Let me know what you think if I'm misunderstanding that. But so they have the librarian can take the mantle of the storm seeker, although here it's called the mantle of the storm seer. But either way, the psyker model only. When a psychic test is taken for a model with this relic attempting to manifest a psychic power from a storm speaking discipline, add 1 to the total. So it gives them just another assurance that they can potentially get off their psychic phase. Then next we're talking about the stratagem. So we have Born in the Saddle. Now this is definitely a stratagem they've had before, or a rule they've had. So for 1 command point, use the stratagem when a White Scar biker unit from your army advances. That unit can still shoot this turn. So they can advance and still shoot if they're a White Scar biker. This is just a taste of what's in the Codex Supplement. It's packed with everything you know in the army for White Scar successor chapter. So, and then we just have another picture here of some Primaris. So we have a repulsor tank, some intercessors with the assault bolt rifle, and then this new Primaris Crosshairs Khan, I think is what it was. A lot of people saying wow, he doesn't even get a bike now. The way that read, there's still a Khan on a bike. It's just not a Primaris. It's not this particular Khan. But I don't know. I think it's a pretty awesome looking model myself. I'm definitely going to get one at some point and do whatever I can to convert it into my own chapter, just because I like the pose here. I'll have to take off some of these markings. Maybe I might have to try and see if anyone out there can 3D print me some of my own chapter symbols, and I can kind of replace them there. I do have custom transfers that I could put there after I kind of shave off and smooth it down, but it would be nice just to have to recreate the kind of embossed look here, which would be kind of nice. But either way, I just think it's a very cool model here. So yeah, I would do what I can to just convert it into something, I don't know, some kind of a character or something, I don't know. But very cool. Alright, so then we're talking about Crosshairs Khan. So Captain of the 3rd Company is known as the Master of the Hunt. There is no more honor, for he is tasked with tracking down those enemies that escape the vengeance of the White Scars. So here's his stats. So he's 6-inch move, 2+ weapon, 2+ ballistic, 4/4/4, 6 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9, and 3 up save. Then he has a blade known as Moonfang. Gives a +2 strength, -3 AP, and D3 to their damage. When resolving an attack made with this weapon against a character unit, you can re-roll the wound and re-roll the damage. That's pretty cool. So basically increasing your chances of doing more than just 1 damage should you roll that. And then of course you get to re-roll the wound roll. So at strength 4, so with this at strength 6, depending upon what you're going up against, you may need that little extra help to get that wound through. Okay, and then we have his Cyber Burkert. Is that right? Burkut? I'm not even sure on that name either. Anzuk? I'll guess. Anzuk? A gift from the Chapter Master, Jubal Khan. Alright, so when this model is chosen to shoot with in your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit that is not a vehicle and is within 12 of this model. Roll 1d6 on a 4+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. So yeah, and that's the end of the article. So all to all, very interesting. I definitely think, I mean, we'll get more into the supplement when it comes out. I think this will be, of course, a better than not having the supplement, I guess, as they've never had any real love, I guess, in the past. So this will be kind of nice for the White Scarf player out there. I'm very curious kind of like what the rest of the stratagems and things can be, because I just remember playing against White Scarves in the past. I always, when they were sat down on the table, I just was like, oh man, because I had all these toughness 5 Marines now, because they're all on bikes, you know, shooting up the board, just shooting a lot of fire out with their bolt guns on the bikes, and then getting into combat. And then with the new edition, them all having pistols and stuff, so they're shooting in combat while they're also hitting you. And with this, having that assault doctrine and that additional, what was that called? Scroll back up. Devastating charge, that's what it was. So now you get to add 1 to the damage characteristic. Is pretty good. So yeah, these guys are going to be pretty rough, I think, which will be, I guess, pretty nice for White Scarves players to get their fast and hard-hitting unit back on the table. So alright, well, again, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please check out the rest of the YouTube channel. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Definitely helps the channel. And then I also just want to put another friendly reminder out there that I have actually 2 contests going on currently. One is for the Homebrew chapter contest, that if you have a Homebrew Space Marine chapter, visit the Facebook page, send me a message with at least 1 to 3 pictures, and then a brief kind of outline of what your chapter is. And then I'll be putting that up in a video with all the other entrants. And then there will be a poll for the community to vote on their favorite. The winner, of course, winning an Impulsor kit and a new Infiltrator and Cursor multi-part kit. So I'm pretty excited about that contest. I think it's pretty fun. I've already gotten some really cool entries, and I'm very excited to kind of put that up and just to see everything that everyone has done. The other contest, of course, does require kind of sharing and liking the page, where once I hit 500 likes, I have the Games Workshop Story Anniversary little tiny, it was kind of like a little tiny backpack thing. And then there was the Games Workshop Warhammer Day objective marker tokens that they had exclusive at the stores, that I'm also giving away in that once I hit 500, just to some random subscribers. So again, you know, anything helps. Definitely appreciate it. And like I had mentioned before, if you haven't already, check out the Facebook page in the description below. I keep it pretty updated regularly and share a lot of other stuff there. So check it out if you haven't already. I'd appreciate that as well. And with that, until next time.